I'd like you to imagine that you just got somebody, a prospect, a lead on the phone. The question is, what do you actually do? Do you have a process? Do you have a framework? Do you have a system that enables you, that's duplicatable, that enables you to close this lead to a client? And how do you do it in a way that isn't salesy, pushy, or manipulative? Today, in this video, I'm going to show you behind the scenes to a coaching call that we recently did to show you exactly the 6-part process of what literally enabled us to close tens of millions of dollars in high ticket, and how you too can literally copy this same framework and apply it in your business. Let's begin. Whatever it is that you wrote down is one thing. But when you actually do it in front of real people, it's a totally different thing. So, and I know, for some of you are thinking, oh, well, you know, I've got the script, I've got a framework, I've written it down, I'm good. I promise you, when you do this in front of other people, it's a totally different experience. So what is the game plan? The game plan is to help you develop your high-ticket script and help you get practice and build up your confidence. And the question is, if somebody engaged with you on a conversation, whether it's through Zoom, whether it's through a phone call, whether it's meeting this person one-on-one, right? And if this person is somewhat qualified, right? They landed on your page, they watched your video, and they scheduled for some call, some strategy call, it could be an interview to see if you might be a right fit for each other. So our goal here today is to zoom in on this one step, okay? And to really get this step right, which is when a person meets you, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's on a Zoom call, whether it is on Skype, whatever it might be, okay? What should you be saying? How should you be steering this conversation? And what should your team member or yourself be saying on this call? So what are you about to discover? Here discover these few things, okay? Number one, how can you be in control of the sales process the entire time? Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you how do you overcome objections before you even make your offer or start selling, right? How do you sell without selling? I'm going to show you why utilizing high pressure sales techniques is a recipe for disaster. But most importantly, what is the difference between being in a position of authority rather than a typical salesperson? Okay, so I'm also going to show you like the languaging that's literally killing your sales right now without you knowing what it is. I'm going to show you what to do when you run into objections at the end of the conversation, right? Things like, well, let me think about it first. Well, let me speak to my wife first. Well, this thing seems to be out of my budget. Well, this thing, whatever, right? Whatever objection will be, I'll walk you through how you can go about this and what is the perfect closing script to deal with closers and close more deals without the pressure. I'm going to begin with phase number one, which is establishing rapport. Okay, now, what is establishing rapport? Now, this part here is where you would typically pick up cues to see if a person is somebody that wants to do the small talk, or there are these people that's like high D, dominant, they want to go straight into it, and to them small talk is a waste of time. Let's just go straight to business. What you want to be able to do is just to kind of pick up some cues to be able to cater to that specific person that you're talking to, because at the end of the day, it's a human conversation, okay? So the first part is more of a art than a science to it, okay? But if you're unsure of what to do because you do not know how to pick up any of these cues, then go with your strength. The important one, okay, the part that really begins is number two, okay? Now which is basically upfront contracts. Okay, this is a huge part of setting the tone and the context of the entire conversation. Okay, so let's talk about how this works. Okay, so what is upfront contracts? Now, the purpose of upfront contracts is to help you handle objection in advance. It is to help you establish certain rules or behaviors or conditions upfront. Because most of the time, the mistake that people make, salespeople, right, is most salespeople wait for it till the end. Okay, so an example of waiting till the end would be like they go through the entire offer first, only to realize that at the end, oh, that thing's out of my budget. Only to realize after a 45-minute conversation, oh, this price is too much. Only to realize, oh, at the end of it all, I need to speak to my partner first. I need to speak to my wife first. I need some more time to process this before I can make a decision. Here's an example of an upfront contract that says, so I appreciate you taking the time to be here on this call today, and I want to make sure that this is a right fit for us. And if there's any time in this conversation that you feel we're not a right fit, just feel comfortable telling me at any time, and I will not pressure you into doing business with you, and we can walk away as friends. And if later on we have a good fit, great. But if not, we'll save each other a whole lot of time. Is that okay? Now, I'd like you to pause for a while and notice what I did. What I just did is I gave my audience permission to number one, you don't want to waste your time, right? And at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't know how to say no. They feel obligated to listen to your entire 45-minute, 30-minute conversation because they feel that's the polite thing to do. And then at the end of it, they say no, and you just wasted 45 minutes of your time that you could be doing something else, and you just let them drag it all out because they don't know how to reject. A lot of people do not know how to say no. That brings us to number 3. Okay, so number 3 is, now that you've established at least one upfront contract, the goal here now is to find out their current state, right? So, for example, Paul asked the question earlier of, well, is this only for discovery calls? Is this for a call where I can close them? Like, it applies for all type of calls. Once you've established rapport, we've created an upfront contract. What we want to be able to do is to be able to understand where they're currently at. Okay, and this is the main difference for this slice. I believe that amateurs, they're always talking. The pros are listening. And you listen by being able to ask the right questions. To understand the current state, you want to ask the right question. So based on the application, based on how they submitted for this call to begin with, this strategy session, you want to ask questions based on how this appointment was made. Okay, how can you write this? How can you think about the right questions? So you could say here, so based on your application, I can see that you are in the real estate market. What are some of the common struggles you're currently facing right now based on where you're at in your business? Okay, so some questions to ask is, what are the current problems that you're facing? What are some of the struggles? What are some of your frustrations? What do you think is holding you back, right? You want to be able to understand where this person is at. Number 4 is the dream outcome that they want. Okay, so there's the current state they're at, and there's an outcome that they want. They want to be able to achieve this thing. I want to be able to get more leads. I want to be able to get more walk-ins. What you want to be able to do is to, again, ask the right questions where they are thinking about the dream outcome. It would be like, okay, so based on what I heard, you mentioned that some of your struggles right now are, when it comes is tech. You don't really have a social media game plan in place. You would like to be able to have more walk-ins into your practice. So what would this outcome look like if you were to take care of these issues? How do you think having a social media strategy, having a process that converts these leads into sales, how do you think that's going to change your business? Right? Now, ultimately, what are you doing? You want to get them to see the gap. The gap represents the pain, right? The current state they're in, the dream outcome that they are telling you. You're not telling them, they are telling you. And that gap represents the pain. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to close that gap with your offer. And number 5 is to be able to show them how your offer closes on that gap. And this will be like what it would be like if they only had your solution. Okay, so your solution could be, it could be the process, it could be the systems, it could be the strategy, it could be the mentoring, it could be the coaching, it could be whatever that thing is, right? This is just the recap of your stack. But now the difference is you are making the offer and you're explaining what it is that you do based on what they told you and how it solves that particular problem. Now, how do you transition to your offer, right? After you've repeated what it is they said. Okay, so I can understand that. So based on what you've told me, this is what you want to be able to accomplish. This is where you're at right now. And this is, if they're the right fit, you would say, and this is exactly why we created this process, why we created this consulting, why we created this done for you, is to help you bridge that gap and to be able to get you to outcome a whole lot quicker. The best close in the world, what would the jab look like? A jab that's an easy yes would be like, okay, so to wrap things up, it looks like we've had a pretty good conversation about the coaching industry and about scaling it. Would you agree? Right? Again, if you had a fairly decent conversation, right, they wouldn't say, no, that was a really weird, horrible conversation, right? Most of the time, we'll be like, yeah. Okay. So next thing, right, slightly harder filter. You're turning up the heat a little bit. You're turning the knob, you're raising the heat a little bit. And now the next question would be, do you feel like you have a good understanding of what it is that we can do to help you result? So notice what I'm doing right now. There's a slight filter. I'm starting off with an easy question, but now because they've said yes to an easy question, you're turning up the heat a little bit. It will be like, okay, good. And do you feel like you have a good understanding of what we can do to help you result, right? So this will be like, so do you feel like you feel we have a pretty good understanding of what we can do to help you scale your coaching in the industry? Do you feel like we have a pretty good understanding to helping you build your network marketing downline without approaching family and friends? Do you feel like we have a pretty good understanding of what we can do in order to help your kids develop confidence and discipline through martial arts? Okay, so now we'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, right? You're gonna jab one more time. It will be like, and do you feel that I have a pretty good understanding of your requirements? Okay, so notice what I'm doing right from the start, right? Looks like easy yes, hardest yes. Okay, so would you agree we had a pretty good conversation about topic name? Do you feel like we have a good understanding of what we can do? Right? You have a good understanding of what we can do. And do you feel that I have a good understanding of your requirements? So it's about them, it's about you. So if they said yes to all three, okay, what you're going to do is you are going to make it so that if they are a good fit, if you feel that this client is not going to be like a dream, a nightmare client, if you feel that genuinely, right, you'll be able to help them, if it's a good fit, then you would say, so it seems that we would be a good fit and I'm very confident in helping you get this specific result that you want. Do you have any questions? But the one that you can't go wrong with, the ultimate close, is using this. Okay, guys, please write this down in all caps. The best close that you can't go wrong with is, when would you like to get started? Your ability to push back correlates to your upfront contract, right? Based on your upfront contract, if you establish that, this is when you'll be able to, and of course, this really depends on your personality type and your character. I can tell you that I'm somebody that's not really in your face, right? If you guys have trained or worked with Shu Ying, for those of you that is in the mastermind immerse level, you'll know, right? She's somebody that can really say things as it is to you. I'm not somebody that's like that, right? So, but you gotta do what's comfortable for you, Okay, that's in line with your character. Well, I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes to this coaching call. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below what your biggest takeaway is. And as always, be sure to smash the like button. It does help the channel out a little bit. And to subscribe to this channel if you want to be notified of future videos just like this one. Now, some of you asking me, how can I be part of this process? How can I ask you questions? How can I have you coach me or mentor me? We want to make sure that we are working with the people that's the right fit. You'll need to fill up a form. There's a link right below this video. Somebody on my team might give you a call to interview you to see if they're right fit for each other. And if you want to apply and see if you're a good fit, then all you need to do is click on this link in the description box below and my team will be in touch with you.